Hey folks, it's Kary Oberbrunner. Great to be with you today. I have with me a returning guest. He has been through some huge growth opportunities. I'm really excited to be here with Bill Barrett today. How you doing today, Bill?
Doing great, Kary. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome. Listen, man, we chatted with you, I think the day your book launched last time, and the reviews now are in double digits. You've actually written a second book. We're going to get into that. The firm is now, without you even asking, they came to you and said, "Let's put your name on the firm." Give us kind of the what's happened in the last, 6 months to a year since we chatted last.
Sure. Yeah, no, I feel I'm filled with a lot of gratitude. My legal career started at a worldwide law firm in New York City where the
Mm.
two named partners had been dead for like a century. So my mi-
Wow.
so my mindset throughout my career, my firm is a 92-year-old law firm. My mindset was never focused at all on the concept of me being, a named partner.
Yes.
And what was, incredibly gratifying is it was recommended and suggested by other partners in the firm as a kind of a link from our storied history to our bright future. And I was already, the managing partner of the firm, but but not a named partner. So it
Yeah.
was really, quite a moment in my career,
Mm.
and I'm, filled with gratitude because it really kind of came as a surprise to me. It's a great
That's
thing.
awesome. That is so good. And for those that don't know the link between dental deals and law firm, give people, I want people to realize, like, this is going to be worth the next 30 minutes. You're going to give some very solid info for all entrepreneurs, but kind of show us the link between law firm and dental and what we might unpack today.
Sure. My career, I've been a mergers and acquisitions lawyer. That's, a kind of an outside corporate general counsel and a transactional attorney for all types
Mm,
of businesses. And about 20 years ago, kind of almost on accident, I ended up developing a niche in addition to the other things that I do in the
mm,
dental profession. And
okay.
it came about through a client of mine who was a consultant in the industry, and he approached me and said, I think that the dental profession is underserved by their
Mm,
professionals. And he said, I don't know a single dentist that has a full service, sophisticated law firm behind them. A lot of
wow.
times they were using smaller local practitioners and not a national firm. And this colleague of mine felt that it was something that that was really needed. So, like a lot of things, it began with going out and meeting people and attending some events and trade shows and doing a couple speaking engagements on legal issues that impact doctors and dentists in
Mm,
particular, and it
mhm,
just grew. And what's happened is mergers and acquisitions in this space have become enormous. Private equity groups all over the
mm.
country are investing billions of dollars in the acquisition of dental and dental specialty practices, and this has become a very very change landscape, and for those doctors that are trying to stay independent and entrepreneurial and grow their businesses, there's a lot of what this book is dedicated towards and focuses on is how to buy practices, how to expand, how to bring on an associate as a partner to be able to scale your business. And just listening to that, it's every business, right? I mean,
Wow.
this book focuses on dental, but as
Mm.
you mentioned before, the stories, the lessons could apply to really just about any profession or industry.
That's really interesting, and I say that because 2 weeks ago, I was in the dentist chair with my dentist. She's fantastic, Dr. Heidi Stauffer in, Dublin, or, in Ohio, Columbus area. She's amazing. She works on my wife, my kids. But as I'm sitting there, I say, "You know what? In a couple weeks, I'm gonna be interviewing Bill Barrett, who wrote the book, Pain-Free Dental Deals." And what's interesting, and maybe you can tell me why, but she's like, "Oh, you know, that would just overwhelm me, and I just wanna stay small." Is that kinda like how just some of the world's not entrepreneurs? You know, like, I mean, I see that with some authors where they're like, "Ah, I just wanna write books. I don't wanna grow into a huge business." Are there some dentists that just say, "I wanna stay small?"
There are, and sometimes there's it's common to see specialists that sometimes do that. Not everybody is meant to be an entrepreneur or to scale. Um, in fact, in the DSO world or the private equity backed world, they look for those practitioners a lot of times who don't enjoy the business of dentistry, which is why they become a prime target for acquisition when
Ooh,
they offer that they're going to take all that responsibility of running the business away, and they just have to show up and practice dentistry every day. And for some that would be a nightmare, but for others that
that's what they
has
want.
it's what they want. And it's again, it's a changing landscape. So for those who just want to remain small, candidly, it's going to be harder and harder for those folks to survive because
Yes.
with consolidation, keep in mind, right, if I'm a larger group, I buy everything cheaper, right?
Yes.
Every supply, every
Oh,
piece of
yeah.
equipment, I get better reimbursements because I'm able to negotiate with insurance carriers in a way that results in better reimbursements. So
Wow.
there's so many issues. Attracting
It's tough
talent,
to be a small player.
it is, and it's going to get harder. And look, I believe wholeheartedly in the preservation of private practice dentistry. Um, and part of a big driving force for the book Pain Free Dental Deals is that if a doctor is educated on how they can scale, how they can
Mm.
acquire, how they can bring on partners or associates, it allows them to effectively compete against consolidation by growing,
Ooh.
by expanding hours, by expanding days, by using technology for same day dentistry. There's so many things that DSOs do that if a private practitioner looked at it and put their own image on it, but understood the business and the competitive facts behind what's happening, they can compete successfully in the world of
Ooh,
DSOs.
that's cool.
But to your point, the person who's going to just stay small, I mean, they might survive for the here and now, but long term, that business model in the United States is for dentistry and dental specialty is not likely to be successful long term.
But see, that's why I'm drawn to you because you talk about the issue at hand, pain-free dental deals, but this is also a very integrated concept with I mean, I almost hear it in my head when you said same-day dentistry, I'm thinking AI, artificial intelligence, and some of the technologies that are happening, and unless we adapt, like you said, I mean, the cobbler of old or the, you know, artisan of old is gonna be obsolete. They have to rethink these things.
No question. I mean, the perfect example is somebody needs a crown from their dentist. And same day dentistry is, I come in, I get examined, it's prepped while I'm waiting. If you have technology like Cerac, they can literally scan in and be able to go and create that crown and place it the same day, one visit, same day
Wow.
dentistry. Traditionally, if you needed a crown, you went in, the doctor had to prep the tooth, then they would make an acrylic temporary, which, you know, sometimes a good portion of the time ends up falling off while you're waiting for a laboratory over a course of a week or two to go and create the crown that you then have to come back for another visit
Gee.
to have fitted. So look at the inefficiency of that. And it's an example of technology in dentistry and how, you know, I'm a doctor, I'm charging the same price for a crown, but you as the patient are in and out in one day. Less chair time is good for me as the doctor. I'm making more money, I'm more profitable. But for you
You're
as an
not having
aide.
to take off of work, the
Yeah.
family stuff, yeah,
And have the
100%.
temporary in, and you're eating dinner, and it cracks off, and now you have a missing tooth that looks terrible. I mean, it's just an example of how technology is is going to just become so powerful. It already is, but it's only
Yeah,
going to get more so in dentistry.
wow. Let's talk about your next book, and then we'll bring them both together. But
Sure.
while you publish a book, it's funny because I talk with a lot of authors, and it's kind of like kids where you don't ask a woman who just gave birth to a kid, hey, you gonna have a second or third or fourth baby? They're like, don't talk to me. But after time, you have that desire to kind of many times write a second book. When did that desire start coming, and why did you write a second book?
So yeah, so it's a great question. So a little shout out to my co-author and partner Casey Gosell.
Yeah.
She and I wrote both books together, and we were sitting around one day just talking about things that were happening, then coming in the door, new clients, new matters, and we started to realize that between the two of us, we were fielding at least one or two calls a day with questions from doctors around the country
Mm.
about DSOs, transactions with DSOs in particular.
And tell
Um,
tell my audience who might not know that term.
sure.
What does that mean?
So it just like happened in medicine, 20 plus years ago. There's a trend of consolidation going on where dental practices and dental specialty practices are being purchased around the country and consolidated, backed by billions of dollars of private equity money.
Mm.
And they are paying in a lot of cases because they analyze the value of a practice differently than in a doctor to doctor transaction. In many cases, they're paying multiples more in terms of purchase price
Mm.
than in a traditional doctor to doctor transaction.
Mhm.
So what's happened is a DSO, also known as a dental support organization, a dental service organization, they are, it's not a practice, right? What they do is they provide managerial services for practices, and it creates a cash flow to these DSOs. So effectively, through a series of what I'll call sophisticated and complex deal structures, which we don't need to go into now, they're effectively de facto acquiring these practices and and
Yes.
and managing them, and that has become a major thing in the mergers and acquisitions market
Mm.
around the country. So while we were sitting there talking, we had already done, pain-free dental deals,
Yes.
which is a great book in terms of touching on a lot of different things, and from buying and selling to associate buy-ins, and it talks a little bit about the DSO market.
Yep.
But given how many questions we were getting, we said, we need to take all these questions that doctors have around the country, and all of our experience having closed so many of these transactions, and make it an educational book. We didn't want to take a side, right? We have tons of clients that are fighting for the preservation of private practice dentistry, and we have
Mm.
other clients who want to have a large liquidity event and potentially, sell their asset for a lot of a lot of money. So that's when, we said, let's put it in a book, and we came out with, as you said, the second child, if you will. but
Yes.
but this book is a very deep dive into the DSO world. It
I
talks about
love it.
what are they? What's the history of them? How are they formed? How do these companies make money? When they do these transactions, what do they look like? How do they structure them?
Ooh, that's good.
What can you expect if you're going to do a deal, whether you're partnering with a DSO or you're selling to a DSO? What can you expect in that transaction process? And also, we actually took the opportunity to interview a bunch of our clients who had already done transactions with DSOs,
Yes.
and in that process, we did like a Q&A and published it in the book, so you get a flavor of, you know what was good, what was bad, what was surprising. If you could do it all over again, what might you have done differently? So it's
That's awesome.
really just a takeaway when they finish reading the book. they know as much about DSOs and DSO deals as anyone, and it's a compilation of these years of constant questions and transactions, which is how we got to pain-free dental initially.
Yeah.
It was a similar concept, and what DSO decision is really doing is
It's the
taking
next step.
yeah, and it's recognizing a red hot changing marketplace and saying, okay, clients, doctors need more. They, if they're going to think about this type of thing, they need to learn more. So it's kind of an evolution. In fact, honestly, although it may sound self-serving, in the spirit of total transparency, this is like a great first book, like almost like a precursor that you want to have read this book, or listen to it, um, you know, to get to the
First.
next book.
Yes.
It creates a lot of baseline, um, foundational information about being a deal maker and doing deals in dentistry.
Interesting.
And then the other book is more specific about a particular type of deal.
Ooh,
So
that's good. And I like how you named it the DSO decision. I to me, it's almost like a IP trademark concept, but you're basically saying that there's this point in time where most, if not all, dental practices need to face this decision.
that's exactly right. In fact, one of the last chapter of the book is entitled "The Preservation of Private Practice Dentistry." So
Ooh,
the book walks you through everything about DSOs and DSO transactions, as I mentioned before. But it also talks about, okay, now that I'm educated, now that I understand this whole model and how it works and what's going on out there, if that's not for me, how am I going to compete in this new world?
ooh,
How,
that's good.
and what are some things that I could be thinking about as someone who wants to remain a private practitioner, to scale my business, to grow, and to compete effectively against the DSO world. So the whole idea of the book was, as I said before, we didn't want to take a side, right?
Yeah.
We have clients that fit into all different viewpoints as it relates to that, and we just wanted to give people an excellent education so that they could go into these transactions with eyes wide open and know what they're getting into before they even attempt it.
So I have a lot of authors who watch the show, and I want the authors to realize that concept because what Bill's talking about is unique. He basically is explaining his persona in the book. Bill, we often say that authors take on sage, Sherpa, or struggler. Sage is like, hey, I've been to the mountaintop. I'm sitting at it. Come learn of me. Sherpa is like, we went up the mountain. We found a shortcut. We're coming back down. We're going to help guide you on the way up. And then struggler is like, man, I don't even know the solution, but I know there's a mountain. Let's journey together. I like your book angle, the persona, because you're not pushing an agenda. And I think we get that a lot of times from books. And then when we're done, we're like, yeah, that person was just selling me an idea. But your book is basically saying, let's look at a trend and we represent clients on both sides. And here's the way to navigate this conversation. And wherever you end up, we're going to provide a solution. I like that. That's really good.
Thank you. Yeah, and that's the thing, because the solution or the need is going to vary from client to client, and our job is to take our experience and help the client navigate whatever path it is that they want to be on
Yes.
successfully. And we've been blessed to have been on successful paths in all the different directions. And
Mm,
so whatever it is that the client wants to accomplish, our job is to help them navigate it and create that path forward and get there successfully, and no pun intended, with it the least amount of pain possible.
yeah. I
So
like that. But see, that's why I like to study other disciplines. I know nothing about dentistry, other than getting my teeth worked on. But even from this conversation, I'm walking away saying, wow, as an entrepreneur, I could grow by showing both sides of the equation. I could grow by putting the client as the focus and not my solution. I love it. And so folks, I want to encourage you, if you are an entrepreneur, if you're an author, besides being in the dentistry realm, you need to get this book because um, there's an element that in today's economy, the more that you know, the more you can connect with people. There's a gentleman that talked about on the Tim Ferriss show how he studies multiple topics so he can kind of hack the topics. It's called accelerated learning. And he picks the themes and he realizes that whether you're in chess or martial arts or dentistry, there's themes going on and basic principles. And I really think that your book is fantastic for that. So give me 2 minutes on how it is to write with a co-author, because I mean that's a whole concept. And how did that work with you and Casey? And
Sure.
you know that's fascinating to me.
Well, it's from my perspective, I enjoy collaboration. I think it's one of the things I love about being a lawyer in general. You know, it's great
Mm,
to be part of a firm with a lot of other lawyers and to be able to bounce things off each other and try to get to the best results or the best approaches. And
yes,
I always say, you know, a bunch of minds are better than one. Um,
yes,
you know, so really writing the book was very similar. I also think that one of the candidly, you know, one of the ways that Casey and I, as partners in business, you know, complement each other is I very much enjoy the strategy of business and the big picture in terms of overall philosophy, strategy,
sure,
approaches, and Casey is a tremendous drafts person, you know, tremendous at paying attention to every detail. And I think that in that way we complement each other very well because you know, if I had to do the writing by myself, I'm not so I'm confident that the result would not
all
be
right,
nearly as good.
yeah,
And then also, you know, people have different perspectives. So when she and I would talk about a particular subject that we know is important to cover in the book, I would have my stories and viewpoints, and from her many years of experience, she would have hers, and then you start to exchange ideas and and a lot of the education in both of these books is through storytelling
mm,
about actual transactions that we've worked on. So you know you now have a collaboration of different stories and different results. So I really think it came together in a great final product, and
yes.
you know I feel grateful to have had an excellent co-author and an even better you know partner and lawyer in my firm.
That's fantastic, and I know we both learn from Dan Sullivan, and he talks about free zone frontiers and simplifier multipliers and these collaborations that work well. But yeah, I'm seeing elements between you and Casey, whether it's big picture, tactical, or vision, strategy. I mean, these are good things. So, folks, if you are thinking about co-authoring a book, pay attention to some of those tips that Bill just gave. So, Bill, as we kind of roll this up, tell us what's your big vision for your firm, for the books? Obviously, tell us where we can find out more about you, but where do you see the next 3 years going?
Sure. Well, I think that um, as it relates to the law firm, I've always been a believer, and I think this applies to all businesses, at least in my mind. Um, when you stop growing, you start dying.
That's
And I
good.
think
Yeah.
one of the reasons why the firm has been in business for 92 years and you know you know experienced our best year ever, both in terms of our top line and bottom line revenue,
Mm,
and we have very, very little turnover at the firm. You know, our retention of not only partners but attorneys and staff has
mm.
been remarkable. I mean, even with the great
Great.
resignation,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? You know, we had no resignations. You know, year-end bonuses came out, and you know, I talked to managing partners at other firms, and they said how they got some note, people gave notice, and you know, we didn't experience that, and I think it speaks to the culture of the organization.
Yes.
But we're always of a growth mindset as a firm, and I think that that is important. We always want to be better. We always want to be creating new concepts, new ideas, approaching the relationship with our clients differently. You know, literally trying to create that unique client experience, which we've talked a lot about in Strategic Coach.
Yep.
I went through that process where, you know, we spoke to all of our best repeat clients and
Mm,
referral sources and said, hey, why us? You know, why do you choose us, and when you could go anywhere you want? And we really take that to heart, and in every client relationship we always try to deliver the things that have brought people to us and kept them here. So, you know, I feel blessed to be the managing partner of a firm that is on an upward trajectory, and it's a people business. At the end of the
yes.
day, we have a lot of great people, and that's why the firm is doing well, because we're in the people business. You know, as it relates to these books, I always want to deliver um, education to the
Hmm.
communities that I serve, and because we do a lot of work in this space, um, it's the same when I do a speaking engagement. I do a lot of speaking engagements around the country.
Yes.
I've never been the type of person who what I call a carrot dangler, like that, you know, gives you a little bit of information, just enough to kind of make you nervous about something because they're trying to, you know, make you
A
later on
client.
come back. I've
Yeah.
always had a different approach in the way I practice,
Mm,
whether and trying to be a thought leader or in a speaking engagement. As I say, give away the farm. I try to give great material. I try to educate as much as I
yes.
can, answer every question fully and completely as I can. And the my approach to getting business and new clients from these things has always been, I want them to see me and my firm as the experts,
Yes.
as we are, and to say, you know, if I ever have a matter, I want to go to them because
Wow.
you know, as opposed to,
Wow.
you know, kind of scaring somebody into retention. I think that's
Yes.
just silly, you know.
That
So
is awesome, man. That's such a good principle. Bill, tell us, I mean, obviously Amazon, hold up both those books again, side by side. Those are fantastic.
you're
So
making me blush, Kary.
the DOS decision. I'm going to take a screenshot. Hold on. Smile. 1, 2, 3. I love that. That's good. So the DOS decision and then pain-free dental deals. And where can we find more about your firm? Because I'm telling you, when I go on the page with all your experts, it's overwhelming how big your team is in a good way.
No, thank you. And yeah, so I mean, our website is www.mblawfirm.com,
Okay.
as in Mandelbaum Barrett, mblawfirm.com, and you can gather a lot of information.
Yes.
You can also, through the website, you know, also access the books, but as well as on Amazon, of course. It's currently for sale, and I believe, and thanks to you and your organization,
Yeah.
pain-free dental is available in just about any place where you can find
Any
a
place.
book. Uh,
Yes. And
so
I would tell people if they're watching this right now, get it because it's on a very brief, massively discounted because what is it? Next week is dental day or something? Something like that.
right. National Dental Day is upon us.
Yeah.
So
So
yes,
we put that as a low price. So folks grab it today, get multiple copies, get your dentist a copy, and then even if you're an entrepreneur or an author, read it because you'll learn how do you write with a co-author, how to use case studies, and I just think it's the writing is fantastic. So, Bill, this was a true gem today to see you now months later, and congratulations on all the success you've been through.
thanks, Carrie. Really appreciate it, and thanks for having me on. And thanks to you and your organization for all the great work you do. You know, I couldn't recommend you guys more
Mm.
highly than you know. It just goes without saying that you guys are really just absolute pros at what you do, and so I thank you for that too.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Bill. Check out his website, get his books, and we'll be in touch, folks.